Pembroke Town Manager Search Committee meeting. I have myself, Dan Tramico, Bill Bolter, both selectmen and members of the committee. We have several other members of the committee who, I know at least one cannot make it tonight, but there are some others that may be lagging behind, traffic or what have you. But the important thing we want to deliver to you tonight is a public forum for the town search committee firm that we have hired. To recap the timeline of how the town has got to this point is town meeting has had voted to install the town manager form of government. And part of that new bylaw, and it was actually a special act by the legislature, formed a committee to do the search for the new town manager. And the committee, in our, I believe, wisdom, thought that it would be important to have a professional firm do the search for us so that they can reach out to the professionals in the industry. And that way it'll kind of separate folks that are in town every day for the process. That way we don't get someone's brother or anything like that, no nepotism. Keep it all straight up and use the professional services of a firm. We interviewed a number of firms, and we have this committee has decided to put forward Community Paradigm to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen has then taken a vote to hire Community Paradigm, and those are the folks that are here tonight to explain to you what their process is going to be to look for the new town manager and take any questions from the public, because from the outset of this process, we have welcomed public opinion, and that's why we're here, to solicit your opinion and to see what type of town manager that the public wants. And in correlation to that is we are also soliciting department head input to make sure that we have folks that actually work in the town, what kind of town manager they want, so that we can coalesce all these different wants and needs into the perfect person for the town, and hopefully find that person. And that's really the end result that we're looking for. And having said that, I'll turn it over to Bernie Lynch. If you could just explain your firm, what you do, and take it over from here. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Dan. And I think Dan, did a great sort of explanation of the reason we're here tonight, and the reason or the type of work we do. But let me give a little bit more background to everyone here in the audience, as well as those watching on TV. My name is Bernie Lynch with Community Paradigm. I'm here with John Petrin, and Sharon Flaherty is here as well. And we'll be working on this project with the screening committee and with the Board of Selectmen to find you the best town manager for the town of Pembroke. By way of background, John and I come from a background of municipal management. We were managers. I was the town manager, the first town manager in Chelmsford, so I know what it's like to go through a charter and or a special act and put the manager position in place. I did that for about 20 years, and then I became the city manager of Lowell for 8 years. So about roughly 30 years of experience as a municipal manager. John has a similar background, worked in the town of Harvard, Pepperell, Burlington, Ashland, and actually he also had the opportunity to work in the school department as an assistant superintendent, so he comes with extensive experience. Sharon's background is in journalism, communications, and she will be, she's working on this project as well. We started Community Paradigm back in 2014, soon after I left the city of Lowell. And we wanted to continue to be involved in municipal government in some form to help municipalities deal with their problems. So thinking, management studies, government relations, and recruiting. And what's very interesting is over the last roughly 3+ years, almost half of the communities in Massachusetts have seen their managers turnover. So it's a very, very competitive market right now. That means that obviously that, you know, there's more communities looking for out of a fewer group of a smaller pool of candidates. We've had an opportunity, it's been good for us, because we've been very busy. We, in the last 4 years, have conducted now, we're on, I think, our 46th recruitment for a town manager or a town administrator here in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So we've got a system and a process down. We think that works well. We're the most active recruiting firm in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. That helps us know who's out there. In addition to have a process that we think works, it also gives us an opportunity to know who the candidates are that are out there, who are the people that we may have spoken to in the past that may not have been interested in a position, but they might, well, we've looked at them and said they're not right for one community, but they might be right for Pembroke. They have a skill set that might meet your needs. Now, the idea here is, how do we know what your needs are? Well, we know what your needs are because we've been talking to you. We've spoken now to each member of the Board of Selectmen. We spent a day here immersed in Town Hall talking to the department heads. And one of the things that we always make available to the communities we work with is the idea of a community forum. We think having the citizens involved is an important part of the process. We only had to give an inkling of that idea to Dan and the screening committee, and they were right on it. And in fact, it was their expectation that there would be a community forum. So we're very happy to be here tonight to answer any of your questions regarding the process. But equally important, if not more important, is to hear from you what you think are the key issues facing the town of Pembroke moving forward. What are the traits you'd like to see in the town manager that's hired by the town of Pembroke? And a big part of what we're trying to do is provide candidates with a real understanding of all of the features of the town of Pembroke that would make someone want to live here, would make someone want to work here, and would make someone want to be the town manager here. So those are our questions. What is so wonderful about Pembroke that we should be telling people about? What are the issues, challenges, and opportunities that you're facing as a town? And what are the traits you'd like to see from your town manager? And now, there's a microphone here at the center of the room. We would like to hear from you. So we need the first person to start us off. And yes.
And this is on cable.
I will check it out.
That's all right. Oh, very good.
Okay. My name is Holly Walsh. I'm from Brenda Lane in Pembroke. And there's two traits I'd like to see in the town manager. First of all, I want them to have a strong financial background. And I want them to not be afraid to challenge things and make changes.
Okay.
Okay? There's three things that I think are most important that they need to address. First of all, financial risk in the town. I also think they need to look at the consistency of how employees are treated. And I think that they need to look at union contracts. So as far as financial risk, I would like to see them move forward with the consolidation of the financial systems. I know there's been talk about it. I don't know where the process stands. I also want them to consolidate their reporting and budgeting and make it more available to people. I want them to eliminate manual processes that are currently happening regarding finances. Every time there's a manual process, there's a potential for failure, and you're increasing risk to the town. I would like to see them do proper cost accounting, pushing the costs down to the departments, the school versus the town or the various departments, so that we can really see what's costing us money. I want them to look at vendor management and contract consolidation, not just within the town, but I want them to partner with the schools, because I think that we can get a lot of benefit from that, which I don't think we're taking advantage of. And I would like to see them have an adopt best practices when it comes to finances and accounting. As far as consistency of how employees are treated, I would like to see them set goals and expectations, and I want to have them measure performance against those goals. I want them to take corrective action as needed, or if needed. Hopefully it's if, not as. And I want them to develop skills and set career paths for employees. I don't want employees to think that they're stuck in their position. And I also want them to have training as it's needed, so that they can move on to a better position, if they want to. And as far as the union contracts, I want them to compare them to other towns and see where we are. I feel like there's a lot of legacy clauses in these contracts that really need to start from ground zero and negotiate from the start up. And I also want consistency across the contracts. What's good for the school should be good for the town employees and vice versa.
Okay, great.
And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's not just it, that's a solid list. So,
Yeah,
if you want, one thing before you sit down again is, what do you take pride in this community? So, one of the things we have to, do is speak to the candidates who come in, and it's a mutual process of them interviewing the town and the town interviewing them. So why Pembroke?
So I have been very involved in a lot of volunteer activities. I've run Girl Scouts for the town. I've done my share of cookie booths, father-daughter dances, everything. Volunteered at the school, pushed the equipment out onto the field for the band, marching band. I think that's what I take pride in this town.
Okay.
There are a lot of parents out there, not just parents, I'm sorry, a lot of people out there that volunteer a lot of time and have a desire to see this town be better, be the best it can be. And sometimes I think we feel like sometimes the government may let us down or not fully support us when we're trying to make changes. And that's all we want. We want the best for our town. We want the town manager to be proactive, to get in front of things, be transparent, and support what we're trying to do. We go to work every day, we're trying to do the best in our jobs, and we want that from our town employees.
Great, thank you. It's excellent.
And
I was going to say, I should note that I'm taking notes here, Sharon is taking the notes, and the goal of this, it will be the development of a position profile, a document that we will use to market the community. It's also an important tool that we use. It's a great process just to have our town think about these questions. And then it will be used, we assume, with the screening committee and with the board in evaluating candidates, how candidates match up to what we put on paper. But I will say that there are going to be things that people are going to say tonight that may not make it into the profile, but they'll be in our minds.
Right.
As well as the screening committee's minds, that will help us with the development. There's two parts of this. One is the profile, and the other part are the questions that we will prepare to use at the screening committee level. So a number of the issues that you brought up, for instance, are going to make some great questions for us, so thank you.
And also, we're on TV, TV land, so if you have questions, send them in to us. Or if you have comments, it's not just here tonight. We're taking comments and, we'll take them in email format, or, through the selectman's office. And so we are looking for input in various ways.
Yes, just to expand on that, anyone who is here, and if you don't feel like stepping up tonight, that's fine. And if anyone's at home and you have a question, whether you have already had it or something piqued your interest while you were listening to this forum, you can contact the town hall. If you go to the town website, and contact us, or you can contact me personally. My email address is dantrabuco35@gmail.com. Not very incognito, and I welcome anyone's comments. And we'll make sure that any comments that you folks have, we'll pass them along to these folks and keep it in mind for the committee. And ultimately, all the candidates that are put forward to us through the search firm will go to the committee. The committee will winnow those down to a manageable few, no less than 3, manageable few, and present them to the Board of Selectmen. And ultimately, this will be a 5-member Board of Selectmen majority vote for the new town manager.
Right.
And I think we've seen someone with a hand up, if you want to come up.
And that will be done publicly, that's selectmen interviews. And so dantrabucco35@gmail.com, and also you can send it to us directly at citizeninput@communityparadigm.com. So,
Hi, John Scholl at 30 Mira Mesa Drive. In your opening comments, it sounded like you were limiting your search to people who are in similar positions, to government positions. I would strongly suggest you look outside government. We have unique challenges that really require a unique view and a unique take and unique perspective. You may not find that within government work. Look outside the industry.
Okay.
See what you can find out. I say to my wife and my kids all the time, no change, no change. And I think you need to look outside government people.
Yeah.
John, they have an interesting story that I bet they're going to share right now regarding that.
Help me out.
You had a fellow from Alaska, didn't you?
Oh, well, we did have a manager from Alaska, but we've also, perhaps a more interesting is, he's in government. We have a candidate that we've interviewed at a number of locations and has done quite well. Becomes from a very strong military background that has been very, hasn't quite found the right match yet. But we have a number of candidates for that and some business people that we've been working with. So yes, we do have some examples of that. But yes, but yeah, we did a Skype interview with a gentleman from Alaska for another community. So we go very far and wide to look for candidates.
Yeah, and it's a point well taken that if you look outside the box, you'd be surprised what you find. There are some translative skills within business or what have you that aren't necessarily municipal focused. So if there's someone like that fits the bill, I know this committee wouldn't dismiss them for that reason alone.
Bob DiMarzo, Stage Stop Lane. Both previous speakers had some great points. It makes it tough sometimes. Some things may be redundant. But I wrote down some skill sets and ideas that I thought were important for our town manager. One is being very technology savvy. There's a lot going on, and I think that's a lot of economy of scale and making us a much more efficient community and better to communicate. Right now, our library director is an unpaid running our website. And that's a lot of work and to put on her shoulders.
She does a great job, and I appreciate what she does.
Yeah, she does a great job. Strong communication skills, which is obvious, but communicating with the Board of Selectmen, employees and department heads, and the citizens, really letting the citizens know as best as possible. Somebody that gets the job done. Somebody that when something's going on, makes sure it's happened, that doesn't just sit on a desk and stagnate. There's too many important things that have to get done that don't get done sometimes in some communities. Grant writing, need more grants. We have Brandon, is his name?
Brandon.
Brandon.
Yep.
Been doing a great job so far, but he's very few hours for this community. The town manager is now, correct me if I'm wrong, running the DPW, in charge of DPW.
The day-to-day.
I would hope that the new town manager, whatever the town manager is, has some skill set and really understanding what a DPW does and all the things that are required, construction, roads, et cetera, et cetera. Just organizing for efficiency. We've got to be as lean and mean as we can because we all know it's a tight dollar. Budgets, forecasting in the future. We really have a 5-year plan that works, or we've been too much 1 or 2 years ahead and then praying and baling wire and bubble gum. Let's see. Inventorying the town's assets. Really getting a good feel of what our assets are. How many cars do we really have on the road? I've heard rumors that we've got too many cars. Right. We're paying for the insurance and registration, and we just got too many cars, and I don't know if anybody has a handle. Remember in the old days when I was a selectman, Bob Hazlitt could tell us how many cars and what was the mileage on each car, and we needed a new one or we didn't. Encouraging more volunteerism. We really need that, and that's where people come on and eventually get sitting at the front table like that by getting involved. Question for you folks is, how far are you casting your net? Nationwide, and what techniques are you using for that?
Well, we use, we advertise through the Massachusetts Municipal Management Municipal Association. We have the database of all of the managers here in Massachusetts. We also utilize the International City and County Management Association, and these aren't just managers that belong to these organizations or other professionals that belong to those. We also utilize, again, a database of people that we have that we've built up over time. We have a website of our own that gets 4,000 hits, 5,000 hits a month. And we utilize connections that we have with area universities and colleges, not because we're necessarily looking for someone who's just coming out of school, but many of these have very active alumni job boards, and we utilize those and to circulate the position. So those are the primary, but it is nationwide. We just completed, well, I haven't completed it just yet, but we're close to completing another community. And I think of the 6 semifinalists that they had, 4 of them were from out of state. Now, some communities feel strongly that they should look outside of the state. Others feel very strongly that we should only look inside the state. We work with whatever the community wants.
One other issue I did have here is that I'd like to see more participation of bringing our state reps, state senators in to talk on a periodic basis to the Board of Selectmen, as well as we know our United States Senator or Congressman can't, but they have aides that can come in.
Yep.
And we used to do that consistently in the past and let them know what our needs are and get communication that way.
Great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So before you step away, again, why Pembroke? You know, keep asking that on the backside.
Why
So, yeah, why Pembroke? Why?
Pembroke's a great community. I've lived here 42 years. We've
Yeah,
raised our
that's-
family.
I heard you talk, and
I've
sounds
been
like
active.
you've been active, so.
I know everybody, pretty much everybody here. It's a great community.
Yeah.
It's a community of a real, I've always said this before, real people. We're not pretentious. We're real people. We all work hard. We've had challenges in the past. We've risen the best we can. We've had good times, bad times. It's just a great community, great location, great resources, and we just need to work harder to keep that going. We've got some challenges at the community center, but you can be an asset.
Yep.
We've got open space. We've got wetlands. We've got dry lands. We've got housing that we're pretty much have done our share of affordable housing. We're close to 10% or at about 10%, depending on how you look at it, where other communities are doing nothing. And there is a need for housing. People need places to live. So it's just a great community, great people, and we want to see it stay that way.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
Linda Peterson, Oldham Street. I think one of the real issues with Pembroke is money, and that goes with every other town. One of the things that concerns me is that we go ahead with a smart growth project. We do have, as Bob said, we have land, but we're lacking a little bit in commercialization, which of course affects the townsfolk, because we have one assessment. I don't know how much that this person could get involved, but I think it's something that the town needs to work toward. We had a town manager, a town planner in the past, I believe it was grant run. The grant ran out and we could not afford to keep an individual. But I think we have to.
Okay. So you're speaking of economic development then, but in a way that's
In a smart
compatible-
way.
In a smart way that's compatible with the character of the town.
Exactly.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm
Hi.
Sandy from Queensbrook. You had mentioned turnover in this
Yes.
position.
Yeah.
Do you have a statistic on what the average length that someone stays in there?
Average right now is about 7 years.
7 years?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then, so obviously, I have some traits written down, but obviously someone who would be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, and you know, averages are funny. You're counting the people that were there for 2 years. Under the Code of Ethics of managers, the Managers Association, you're pretty much required to stay at least 2 years. So you have the ones that are there for 2 years, and then you have, we just did a search a couple of years ago for the manager of Norwood. He left after 40 years on the job at the age of 89. So some people stay very long, and but.
The reason why I said that is because I think that I'm going to reiterate some of what other people said, but one of the most important things is this person is going to have to be able to have a firm grasp on being able to develop organized systems to really maximize the efficiency among the departments and to reduce redundant efforts. So that's going to take time. You're not going to do that in a 2-year contract.
Right.
And then to get the buy-in from everybody, that's going to take time. And then they have to be accessible and be able to engage in a timely manner to the public in terms of communication. I think that's very important. I think Bob earlier said that they should have a firm grasp of technology for efficiency in the government. I think that's huge, and that's where direction where everything goes. And then lastly, someone has already talked about this, but they really have to have a firm grasp on how to encourage economic growth and development here in this town.
Great.
That's
Very
it.
good. Thank you.
You're going to ask why Pembroke?
Go ahead.
Sure.
You don't have, by the way, you don't have to wait till he asks. You can just say it yourself.
I just want to get ahead of it.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, we feel very safe here. My kids walk
Oh, wow.
the streets.
Good one, yeah.
You know, they ride their bikes around. This is a great community. We feel safe here. And I had told the advisory committee earlier, I can still afford to pay my mortgage here. It's a great community.
That's the first time I've heard safe. I like that. You know, in the meetings we've done, that's a very good response.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Who else do we have that would like to speak?
So some of the things we stress is flexibility, you know, town meeting, working with town meeting, and working with the various unions, employee groups, and, you know, it's a little different being in New England compared to other parts of the country, you know, with town meeting. It's a different format, so those are the type of things we look at, and we work with, you know, with candidates. You talk about the outside candidate. One of the things we have to do is work with the committee to see if they can translate, you know, their skills into what's needed in towns like this. Perseverance, flexibility, you know, with a town meeting format. It's not for everybody.
Right.
And as you folks are contemplating, if you may want to speak, just take a moment to ask the folks that are here, that are on the committee, and let them explain what they believe. A lot of their beliefs are the same as yours, but I'll just let them verbalize it. So Steve Walsh, if you could start.
I'm on the advisory committee, and what we're really looking for is someone with strong financial background, someone with some great budget experience, someone we can really work with, we can communicate with, that's more open, more transparent, that we can really get a dialogue going and work with. And that's a major part of what I'm looking for. And when the resumes come in, I will be taking recommendations from the committee to see if they have any other recommendations that we want to be looking for. But that's my major ones right now.
Thank you, Steve and Bill.
Well, I'm kind of a community-oriented person. I've been involved in the town, as a special police officer for 53 years. Started off dispatching and doing all those kind of things, and run the Boys and Girls Club for almost 40 years now, and involved in the fisheries, involved in the North River Commission, a bunch of other committees and commissions in the town. It seems like my wife is always saying, geez, if you join one more committee, it's, you gotta be kidding me, you know? So, I think that my heart is in Pembroke, and like the other girl said earlier, it's more of a safe community. So when I started, I think there was only 6 police officers in the town, but there was only 6,000 people. So it was like one cop for 6,000, but 1,000 people in the town. So that's how it was managed, back there quite a few years ago. But technology is a big thing today, and, you know, one of the people had mentioned, or actually a couple of people had mentioned about technology. I think that's a really big thing that we really need to do is get into technology today, because everything is so fast. Everybody wants everything now. They want it quick. They don't want to wait till tomorrow. They want things done today. When they pick up the phone and call, they want a tight budget, and they don't want to give you the money for things that you really need to do to take care of the town and to make the town safe. But when they pick up the phone and call and it's personal to them, they want it done right away. Same with the fire department. The fire department is come a long way from when the police originally had station wagons, and we picked people up in canvas stretchers. Picked them up, threw them on a canvas stretcher, and rushed them to the hospital. Today, the technology is they do everything pretty much in the back of the ambulance before they even transport. So the transporting isn't as fast and as necessary as it used to be when you threw somebody in the back and took off. Which is a lot better, because they're in better condition by the time they get to the hospital. So, but again, there's not enough money to put the firefighters and the paramedics and all that where they need to be. So it's all of this stuff is coming from the little town community that was Pembroke was, 50 years ago to what it is today. And when you patrol the areas, it's like, from what it was, the lights are out at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. When you drove around town, you didn't even see a car. So today, it's going all night long. There's 139, 53, I think there's 5 major intersections, that are in the town. The firefighters just asleep all night. They don't anymore. They're up all night. They're doing medical runs all the time. So it's a big change in the town, and people don't want to see that. They still want it to be the little old town of Pembroke, but things have changed everywhere. There's just a lot of people want to live here, but they work in Boston. So years ago, it used to be everybody that lived here worked here, pretty much. So there's a lot of commute. There's a lot of traffic. There's a lot of things going on in the town. The community has really grown. I mean, when you see like the ball fields and all that stuff that is down in Bryantville, what it used to be from years ago to what it is today. People got together and they got grants and got all kinds of money together and put things together like that down there, and it's a big difference. And now when you look at the yearly parade that the kids have for baseball, it used to be maybe 100 kids. And today you're looking like, holy crap, look at all these kids that are down there. I mean, there's thousands of them down there. So it really is a big change. Pembroke has got big. And we just have to, get to where that is with a real good town manager. Like I said, the finances, there's so much to a town manager that he needs, and everything that everybody put in today is true. And plus, we want a little more from whatever it is that the town manager has. We want him to be better educated. We want him to be looking for the future. You have to look 5-10 years ahead to see where the town is going. So, big difference. So.
Thank you, Bill. And you're exactly right. There is a big difference now from where it's been, and that's why the town wanted to change to a town manager form of government. We truly need a professional manager running the day-to-day operations of the town, and the type of person that should be that manager should be someone that can be businesslike, firm, forward-thinking, astute on the financial aspects of the town, and be able to manage all the different departments. And Pembroke is blessed with some very good department heads. We have a good relationship now the Board of Selectmen do and the current town manager with all the directors of the departments. They're good professionals, they're willing to work, they work together, and the town side also has a great relationship with the school side and the management of the school side, both the administration of the school and the school committee. And so we work together. We do work as a team. But it's time for someone to take what the new rules are for a town manager as opposed to the former rules of town administrator. Those former rules were a little fragmented, who reports to who, this department, this director reports to an elected board rather than the town administrator. Well, we've melded that all together now to have a truly functional head of the town, a managerial head of the town, and that's who all the department heads report to. So we need a true professional for that, and that's what we're looking for. And once again, we welcome your opinions, and if someone wants to come forward, we'd appreciate to hear from you.
Who's the gentleman at the back?
Good evening, Stephen Michael Power, BRA Commissioner. I was coming tonight and I was going to ask a question that, the pay raises for in the salaries of the managers of different towns. Do you think the state should come up, in your opinion, and regulate it as population-wise instead of, what the selectmen think and what the town meeting members think? Because some of the managers in, Pembroke, Kingston, Plymouth, Bourne, Sandwich, and Falmouth are way out of whack with the rest of them. You know what I mean? It's like the town of Plymouth almost makes more than the mayor of New York City. So, did you feel that the state legislature should come in and regulate this, or that'll have it with the town?
I personally, no, I don't. I think it should be up to the town. I'm a very believer in home rule.
Have you had that question addressed to you before?
Never.
Thank you.
And just expand on that question about salary. That's one of the Board of Selectmen, once someone is selected from the applicants, we will have to have a separate conversation to negotiate a salary. The current town manager's salary is public information, so everyone does know that, and the Board of Selectmen doesn't. We will have a true negotiation. Where we start, where we begin, it'll be commensurate with the person that's put forward to us and what they can offer the town.
Good evening. My name's Jim Agnew. I'm from Herringbrook Lane, and I'm one of the school committee members. So very anxious to have this process move forward and be successful.
Great.
Just as we want to identify and recruit a great town administrator, a great town manager, we want to make sure that that person is successful too. So I'm interested in your comments or your experience. We've never had that position here before. So this is an individual that's coming into a new environment, a new job description, new dynamics. And one of the issues you face is culture. And everybody kind of knows what culture is, but it's hard to define. So this new individual is going to have to tackle a lot of unique issues. Some of them are very specific, some of them are tactical, a lot of them are political, a lot of sensitive issues. I'm sure this is all built into the discussion around the search process, but I just want to make sure that dynamic is not underrepresented in your discussions.
Right.
I think the other piece is around accountability, and Dan touched on it a little bit. This position is going to be new. It's going to be a new executive in town, and there's going to be a lot of people that have not worked under that dynamic or under that paradigm before. So is there a process, is there an expectation from the town selectmen how we are going to transition this workforce and the leadership within the community to be successful with this new town executive? There's a lot of different dynamics that we just haven't experienced in this town before.
Right.
And again, I want to make sure that this position is successful. And it'll be interesting to hear from Dan and Bill and their colleagues about how we're going to measure performance. What are the metrics? What's the accountability? What kind of key performance indicators? Are we going to be able to look back in 12 months and say, this was a great selection, this is the right person for the town?
Right.
So I appreciate your time, and thanks for listening.
Thank you. Yeah, I think if I may, one of the aspects of the change, this is a new position in the town, relatively new position, and I think that's something that the screening committee is going to, one of the key features. Many of the people that will be applying for this job or be coming forward with this job may have done the job before in another community. They may be coming as an out-of-the-box candidate that will have to come up to speed on municipal operations, which are unique, different styles of organization, which are unique. But you'll have some very good, strong candidates with a knowledge base, experience, but oftentimes, particularly in a new position like this, it comes down to style. Whose style is most conducive to the changes that are taking place here in Pembroke? Who would fit into the culture of the organization? And in some cases, the community may want someone who comes in that doesn't quite fit into the culture exactly. You want someone to come in and be a change agent, but they have to be able to come in and do it in a way that's going to be successful for the town and successful for the individual. So all of those features come in, and that's going to be a judgment that the screening committee is going to have to make. That's going to be a judgment that ultimately the Board of Selectmen is going to have to make of who has the right skill set and who has the right style that can work through those changes that need to take place in order to fully implement the vote that the town made in putting the special act forward.
And to put it bluntly, I don't think that we need someone who comes in guns a-blazing. I'm the new sheriff in town, but we do need someone that comes in to be the manager in charge. So that's the balance that we as a screening committee will need to make with all the points that you made and others also, and balance all those points with the personality of the applicants that we have before us. So we are sensitive to everything that was said here tonight. We agree with everything. I don't think there's anything that was said tonight that we disagree with. So we're on the same page with the community. So that makes me hopeful going forward.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
So we'll work with our skills to try, we don't make the decision, so what we try to do is to translate and to put those issues on the table for the candidate to understand, as well as the community to understand, and then use our experience of having been in a few communities, because they're all different. Even though there's the basics, they're all a little bit different, so we'll try to help translate some of that, especially with the out-of-box candidates. So when we talk to them, the first thing we get into, do you understand town meeting? Do you understand what that process is like? So if you can get past that, then we get into the employee relations. This is not an at-will state. You now have to understand that. So these are the type of things we try to translate going through. Now, being the school guy, you didn't answer, you didn't take on the, what's...
Great school district.
Yeah, so besides that, because I knew you were going to say that one.
Pembroke is one of those towns that's just made up of a lot of great families.
Yeah.
People cross paths in all different avenues, whether it's work, school, social life, kids' sports. I've been here not quite 20 years, and it's pretty damn impressive, the family dynamics in this community. And we want to be sure that that's sustainable. And I think that's why everybody's here. I wish we had more people here tonight, because this is important. That last vote we had to bring in a town manager was pretty dynamic, if you guys remember. And we were very happy with the outcome. So we want to do what's best for the town and what's best for these families that are living here and loving it.
Great. Well, if it makes you feel any better, this is a good crowd compared to many of the other communities that we've had. So
Yeah.
it's actually
a lot of
and
communities in Massachusetts that are looking for a town manager for the first time.
a first-time town manager. Yeah, North Attleboro just changed their form of government to a town manager and a town council. So that's a brand-new position. East Long Meadow right now is hiring their second town manager. They too went to a town manager, town council form of government. Those are the only ones that come to mind. That's really not a fully new one, but North Attleboro is
I just
brand
know how
new.
unique we were in the Commonwealth.
Probably.
Yeah.
Hanover, less than 10 years ago, so that's fairly new. And they're our next door neighbors, and they're very similar to us.
Right, yeah, yeah.
So,
I think we had,
was there someone else?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Hi, I'm Susie Scholl. I'm also on the school committee, and Mira Mesa Drive. My husband spoke earlier. And he mentioned, sorry, I'm trying to get to my questions because I don't
Sure.
remember things. But you talked about, a unique situation in the salary and compensation. Having come from a corporate environment where, at least in a consulting world, you had skin in the game, would you consider a more private sector salary structure with salary but bonus compensation? So total salary would involve, say, an 80-20 split based on the success of the goals and things that are set up. Also, we're in a change. And like my husband says, you make no change, there'll be no change. But a lot of people are very uncomfortable with change.
Sure.
Again, coming from a consulting environment, doing a lot of outsourcing with companies that are huge with 35, 40,000 employees, they move like a dinosaur when it comes to change.
Yeah.
So the question is, will you be staying on board, or do we have selectmen and a process in place so that when this individual comes in, he or she is not set up to fail because some folks are not into the change that's coming?
Yeah.
Because it's not fair to penalize or to ultimately let this person go if within our structure in town, those that are not receptive to change, for lack of a better term, potentially sabotage the success of this.
Yeah.
So that, and I think I had a third thing, so apologize.
Could I answer that one
Sure.
first? Yeah. Actually, because I think there were I sensed a couple of questions in there. One was the compensation, how that would be structured. And ultimately, that will be a negotiation between the selected individual and the board.
So
And
it's
there
not
are-
set in stone in
No.
a structure within the
It's-
state of Massachusetts?
No, not at all,
Okay.
not at all. This is totally up to the community and their successful candidate. There are certainly examples out there of, I know that I always existed in an environment where there was a compensation and there was performance compensation beyond that.
Yeah, almost like, I came from a world where sometimes there were performance guarantees type of a thing, and
It's not-
I think it's a little tough to
It's a
do
little-
that.
It is
in this
a
area.
little tougher.
So,
So that, and then the aspect of will we be around? It's not in our current scope of services to be around, but that's always something that we work with communities on, some onboarding potential and continuing consulting capacity if need be.
then
But
kind of
we-
a follow-up
We
to
did get a
that.
one-year warranty with their services.
That's right.
Okay.
So if the
That's right.
person leaves, they have to do this again for us
That's
for
right.
free.
Well, it
So-
ties to kind of with the selection.
It
You
is true.
mentioned Hanover. I mean, are we looking that the last thing we need to do is spend tax dollars reinventing the wheel? Are we talking actively with communities that have gone through what we're going through so that we can, again, not reinvent the wheel, but figure out what is coming from our perspective as the town to kind of help make this smoother as well? Because again, the last thing you want to see is reinventing the wheel.
The
Yeah,
transition.
so if I could speak from the search committee and even the town government study committee prior to that, I've been working, and, Holly was on board, and I worked with a lot of good folks, but we worked for about 3 years to get the town manager article onto town meeting floor and then passed. And now it's been about 18 months or so since that's passed. So in all that time, the previous committee and even this group here have been doing just that. So
Excellent.
we've been looking, we don't, plagiarism is perfectly fine in municipalities. Why reinvent the wheel? So we've taken that into account and have been mining from other towns of what to expect. And of course, we don't truly know until we get the candidate, and then it's really a matter of skills and personality. So it's hard to take everything as a black and white,
Right.
but we certainly do take them into
But
consideration.
you're going in armed with quite a bit of information,
Right.
so
You bet.
that's good. Thank you
Yeah,
for that.
can I just say something? You know, we were given a list of all of the different towns that have gone through this transition. You know, and it was up to each one of the selectmen to go and talk to some of these people, some of these other town managers or administrators. And I know myself, I reached out to several of them and went to different towns and looked. And you really need to do that. You know, you need to get out. You need to get out of Pembroke. You have to look around everywhere
And get a
to
feel,
see, to
exactly.
see what's going on.
Good.
When I met with him earlier tonight, we talked about, you know, and somebody had mentioned here about, well, you know, you're going out of the state, you're going nationwide or whatever, right? I said, you know, I went across country several years ago and visited police departments all over the country. And it's like California seems like they're 20 years ahead of us, you know? And it's like, not to reinvent the wheel, but, you know, it's...
You don't know what you don't know till you find out.
That's right. You know, and you look and you see how all these other different departments of town are running. And you say, geez, why can't Pembroke be like that? You know, why can't we do that? How does Duxbury afford some of the stuff that they do, or Cohasset, or some of these other towns? You say, well, how come Pembroke doesn't have that here, you know? So you're right, it's, you know, you need to get out. You need to get out of Pembroke, get off your butt, and, you know, and go check all these other places out. And it gives you a little better perspective when you're looking at somebody and they're coming in and telling you about what they're gonna do for the town. And it's quite a process, it really is.
Thank you. And you're
You've
gonna
asked
ask
some
me.
very good questions there.
Thanks, sorry, I'm a
And
little
it's-
intense. Sorry
yeah.
for my husband.
You have one more question.
One more?
for
Okay,
us.
go ahead.
Well, bottom line is, you were gonna ask why I like Pembroke, and
okay.
the reality is, you can tell I talk a little differently than most of the folks in this room, because I'm a born and bred South Jersey girl. But as we shopped, when we knew we were transferring up here, we shopped for a town that was welcoming, that still had the country feel that we both came from, and that was big enough to, well, we never grew up in a place with sidewalks, so that's pretty exciting. I didn't grow up with any place that even had a stoplight, so this is very cool for me, and I can drive 4 miles to get to pretty much anything you need. These are all wonderful, convenient things, still with that country feel. So that's a very appealing thing, but Pembroke has been and continues to be on the upswing. And the changes that we've seen in the 10 years that we've been here, and we have been a part of things. They were very welcoming to us being volunteers. It almost happened within a month of us coming to this community, and it just has expanded ever since we came here. So we want to see that feel continue, because we want to continue to invite families in. We want to keep our wonderful schools continuing to grow and be populated. So
Great.
that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Very
very
good.
much, guys.
Anyone else?
All right.
Well, I appreciate all of you joining us here tonight. I will ask that you folks at Community Paradigm just give a brief recap of what you've heard tonight, so that you know and understand what's expected of you.
We usually like to digest what we've heard. Sharon's been taking
Okay.
notes that she'll be working from.
Well,
But I do think what I've certainly heard is that finances are a key element of what you're looking for. Someone that can manage the finances of the town. You're looking for someone who I think certainly an issue that I heard is you want someone that's going to be able to come in and make things happen, to move the town forward while retaining the sense of community that you have, that can hold people accountable, and really work to, in terms of maintaining the sense of community, find ways to engage with the public in a way that people feel connected to the community. So that's what I've heard. We'll want to go through and make sure we capture everything, but I think that's what we have.
Great.
I think we also got a sense of great community here, which we don't always hear. you know, in some of these forums we had. Sometimes we get the finger pointing. Tonight, we didn't hear that. What we heard tonight, you know, was that, you know, a lot of volunteerism, you know, in this community. I like the safety word, you know, so, you know, someplace where you want to live, and we certainly captured, you know, a lot of that. But I think we also heard that, you know, you're looking to move forward a bit without, you know, it's not an overhaul, but it is about coming in and working with what you do well and continuing to build on that moving forward. So I think that's kind of what, you know, we heard here, and that's not always what we hear. Sometimes it is about an overhaul.
Well, I think that, yeah, I think
it's. But here, it's, you know, very much about
Right.
moving forward and building on what you have, which is, you know, a great community to start with.
Yeah, and I think that, if I could just sort of echo that a little bit, that there are communities that come in with an edge.
Yeah.
And there isn't necessarily an edge here. There's really a sense that this is a new era, if you will, for the town, and you know, just wanting the town to improve the way it operates, and I think we certainly get that message. By way of process, as I said, we're going to be taking all this information that we have from all of the fact gathering and information gathering and opinion gathering that we've done over the last few weeks. We'll be meeting with the screening committee in December, first part of, I think it's the 6th. We'll meet, we'll you know, present them with the work that we've done. Our goal is to have this position advertised and the real formal recruiting happening. We've already started talking to a number of candidates, but we want to be able to tell them what Pembroke is really all about. So that has been more informal, but after that, we'll be able to make that more formal, with the hope being that we would be able to sit down again with the committee at the beginning of January with resumes in hand, narrow that field down, as Dan said, from however many we have. Generally, we get probably 25 to 35 applicants for these positions, and then get it to a reasonable number that can be interviewed. Of the 25 or 35, you know, it generally breaks out that there's a third that aren't qualified, a third that are qualified, and a third that are sort of an interesting mix of skills and experience that might be right for the town. Of the third that are qualified, there's going to be some with backstories that we know about, that we'll be able to advise the committee about those backstories, and let them interview you know, probably 6 or 8 people that they're going to be looking at, and then come up with the finalists that would be brought to the Board of Selectmen, and I would probably assume that would be taking place in late January, early February.
And again, if people have comments from the audience or from the public, they can get them to us through our email.
Yep, citizen input at communityparadigm.com.
Or through the town on their website to the Selectmen's office.
In my personal email is dantrobruco35@gmail.com, but the town of Pembroke website is very well done and very accessible, and I find it comical that people will be on the internet, go on Facebook and say, how do I get on the town of Pembroke website? Just Google town of Pembroke and you can get right on it, folks.
Okay. Anything else you want to say?
That's it. I appreciate everyone joining you. I truly appreciate your input. This process will be open to the public, but we will no longer have public hearings other than when we're in front of the selectmen giving updates. So good night, and thank you very much.